Bloodborne is easily one of the hardest games I've ever played. It's given me so much mental pain and suffering, and sore fingers, so why would I continue to torture myself? Well, because I love the game. Today I'm going to review my experience going for my first ever Platinum trophy. This challenge was done on 3 playthroughs in 2 different character builds. Before I start, there's a couple of boss fights missing. Some of them I didn't record either because it wasn't that cool of a fight, or maybe I just deleted them or something. Also, I just recently thought of making a Platinum video. But don't worry, I'll be showing all the trophies at the end of the video. Anyways, the journey started over a year ago, on April 4th, 2022. I took on the Cleric Beast. My heart was pounding like crazy. The music was bumping, and this thing kept screaming at me. But I managed to keep it together long enough to defeat my very first Souls boss. Anyone who's gotten their first victory knows that feeling, overcoming something so difficult, and that feeling is awesome. After this, I was hooked. Next, I headed to the graveyard to fight Father Gascoigne. He's a pretty tough cookie, and gave me some trouble, knocking me into tombstones and shooting me with the shotgun. Halfway through the fight, he turns into a furry, and I'm not into that stuff, so he chased me around for a while. After a decent amount of tries, and a music toy box, I eventually defeated him.
Yes! Did I kill him? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
I then made my way past some angry dogs, and took on the Bloodstarved Beast. This thing is terrifying. On my way there, I met a nice man named Alfred, who agreed to fight alongside me. After many deaths and constant poisoning, and a heart attack, we overcame the beast.
Oh my god! Let's go!
Afterwards, I picked up Ludwig's Holy Blade. I made my way past some enemies, and up some stairs, where I fought Vicar Amelia, a dog woman or something. This time I picked up some fire paper and brought along another friend. Don't judge me. She was screaming a lot, but I wouldn't blame her. I was hacking away at her legs. Eventually, we came away with the W. After abusing another animal to death, next was the Witch of Hemwick. I lost the footage to this fight, but let's be honest, this fight is kind of boring. So here's a cool picture I took after the fight on my latest playthrough.
Hold on, yeah, look at the fucking drip!
Next was the Nazguls of Yharnam. In this fight you take on 3 bosses, which I thought was a little unfair, so I brought along 2 people.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
I parried this guy to death, then jumped the next dude. The last guy summoned a giant snake, but it was too late. Next.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god! What is that?
I really hate spiders, or I'm the vacuous spider. After looking up the definition of vacuous, this fight makes sense. He slowly waddles around, rolls on his back occasionally, and teleports away. I had 2 summons mainly to distract the annoying spiders surrounding him, but they died pretty fast. I chased Ram around for a while until I finally killed him. Then I quickly defeated this awesome electric boss, Dark Beast Parl, onto the One Reborn.
Run for your lives, everyone! It's the appetizer!
I don't have footage to this fight, mainly because it's kind of a boring one. First I ran around the top and killed these ladies with bells, ran back down to the boss and hacked away until he died. Anyways, I then headed to Cainhurst Castle to fight Martyr Ligarius. This fight was awesome. He had this really cool red scythe and some magic attacks. The only thing that sucks about this fight is the run back. I died a couple times to him, and the way back to the fight is awful. Besides that, he has a cool design, a nice moveset, and a dope arena. Again, I'm missing the footage for the next fight.
What in fuck's name are you doing?
Yeah, I know. But I had to fight this boss again later, and that version is 10 times harder. So I'll get back to that fight later in the video. Okay guys, I have a story to tell. I was taking a break from all this greatness, and I was doing some gardening when I was attacked by aliens. These little gross things are wild. Turns out most of them are fake, and I had to find the real alien, which happened to be 10 feet tall, but he was a piece of cake.
Oh my god, I killed him! Oh my god, I have no health! Let's go! How did I win? How did I win?
You guys aren't gonna believe me. I don't have footage for the next boss fight either.
You can't keep getting away with it!
I don't like you. At all. I don't know why you here.
But you know what? I don't even care. It's Mikolash, host of The Nightmare. And this fight is a nightmare. Honestly, he doesn't even deserve to be shown. I absolutely despise this boss. I don't know what From Software was thinking when they made this one. You spend 90% of the fight chasing this little bitch around, while he jumps through mirrors and taunts you. and when you finally catch up to him, his fight is even worse. He has these 2 attacks, one which is an instant death, and seems impossible to avoid. I can't even count the amount of times I've died to this attack.
Are you serious?
And to top it all off, the run back to this boss is awful. You have to sit in the slow elevator as it takes you back to the top. Man, I really wish this boss was optional, because on every playthrough I dread fighting him. Anyways, after I fought Ebrites, I easily defeated this boss. Next is Murgo's wet nurse. Why is she wet? I don't know, she doesn't look wet to me. She looks insane, like a giant crow holding 4 blades. This fight wasn't too hard. I just had to stay behind her to get my attacks in, and I used bolt paper for some extra damage. She does have this phase where she spawns a dark cloud around the arena and attacks from the shadows, so I spent a good amount of the fight being chased around. Eventually I took her down. On to the second to final boss in the main game, Gehrman the First Hunter. On my first playthrough, this geezer was pretty tough. He's a hunter, so he plays similar to the player. He's quick and has these ranged attacks with his scythe. After many attempts, I was victorious, and I got the first ending. After stealing 3 umbilical cords, I rematched him. This time I switched up the playstyle and parried him to death. Right after, a demon spawned from the moon, and I took it on. This fight was pretty cool, definitely one of my favorites in the game. After my win, I became the baby. Let's go! And with that done, I defeated all the main game bosses. Next was the hardest part of the challenge. I had to take on the Chalice Dungeons to obtain 4 trophies. The Chalice Dungeons have some of the hardest and worst bosses in any Souls game. I definitely lost some sanity going for these trophies. I was on my second playthrough with a new character when I started the dungeons, so enemies were going to be more difficult. I needed to be more powerful, and farming for blood echoes would take way too long, so I needed a strong enough weapon. So I went to the dungeons and obtained the Lost Chikage and loaded it with the most powerful gems. The Chikage is one of the coolest weapons I've ever used. It is the only katana in the game and does great damage to opponents. The only trade-off is it slowly takes away your health when equipped it. When holding it with 2 hands, the blade is covered in blood and does more damage. But this wouldn't be enough to overcome the dungeons. I needed even more power, so I used the Cum Dungeon.
What did he say?
Hold up, let me explain. It's a dungeon that farms blood echoes for you. Yeah, I know this could be seen as cheating in a way, but it would have taken me 10 times longer to level up my character. I won't be showing all the bosses because there was a lot of dungeons I had to go through, and each dungeon requires you to find an item to open the next dungeon, so most of that gameplay is boring. Just know my main objective is to make it all the way to the Queen in order to get this trophy, but I will show you the bosses that give me the most trouble. First is the Beast Possessed Soul. This dude was super annoying. He has these fireballs that he throws at you, which do massive damage, a jumping flame attack, and this spread thing he does. This took me longer than it should, but I eventually killed him. Next is the Bloodletting Beast. He wasn't too bad. I had the homie Oleg to help with the fight. There's a nice big arena to move around in, and after many leg attacks, he was slain. Oh boy, this next one is just awful. The Watchdog of the Old Lords. This fight took me a long time to beat. This boss has a huge health bar and many one-shot attacks. The worst one is this charge attack that he does, which gives you no time to react. I've tried so many different ways to defeat this thing. I had Oleg by my side, but he was only there for a distraction. I went back to the Cum Dungeon.
You what?
I went back to the farming dungeon to level up my attack damage, but that did little to nothing to help. After watching some YouTube videos, I chose to use this strategy. This back and forth BS, which I had to do for 3 minutes straight without error. This took me like 2 days to do. Again, I don't know what From Software was thinking with this one, but little did I know that wouldn't be my only tedious boss fight. Next was the second Amygdala fight, which took me, 15 minutes? Bruh. Yeah, 15 minutes of doing this. According to my knowledge, this version of the boss has the biggest health bar in any Souls game. What were you thinking of, FromSoft? This boss is disgusting to look at and to fight. I'm glad I never have to do that again. After many hours of torture, I finally made it to the last dungeon boss. I just had to defeat Yharnam, the Marian Queen. Going into this fight, I was expecting the worst, but luckily, it's not that bad of a fight. I caught my buddy Oleg one last time.
My nigga.
Pretty easy compared to the other bosses. With the dungeons cleared and the trophies unlocked, it's on to the DLC. Out of all the enemy types in this game, the scariest one in my opinion is the Hunters. They move and fight just like you. It can kill you faster than most bosses, so you can guess my reaction when I first played the DLC. I spent more time running away from enemies than fighting in this beginning area, and I ran all the way to the first boss, Ludwig the Accursed. I had heard people talk about how hard this boss fight was, and they were not wrong. This fight took me a long time. Ludwig barely has any openings to attack, and he hits hard. He's fast, and I spent most of my time running around the arena. But wait, summons?
Oh shit, here we go again.
Mày chửi thầy tao bắn mày liền á. Đủ tao bắn mày á.
Luck was on my side because I found a summon, which made Ludwig only a tad bit easier. This still took me many attempts, but like I said, luck was on my side and I managed to get a good run. I then made my way to the clock tower, where I fought Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower, and I gotta say, this is up there with one of my favorite Souls bosses, right next to Genichiro. Her moveset is really cool, and she uses a blood weapon. In her second phase, she has these long distance blade and thrust attacks, and she's thrown her blood all over the place. You nasty bitch! I spent most of the fight parrying, and soon she was defeated. You guys aren't gonna believe this, but I was taking another break, you know, from the greatness.
I'm smiling, but it ain't funny.
I was in the garden again, and I was attacked by more aliens. What is going on, bro? It's crazy.
Brother, this guy's stiff!
Alright guys, this is the last boss I have no gameplay for. But just for you guys, I started a new run. I defeated Vicar Amelia again, went back to the Hunter's Nightmare, easily defeated Ludwig on my first try. After grabbing the item needed to Okay bro, that's enough. After grabbing the item needed to awaken Lawrence, I took him on. You know what? I'm good. I already have the trophy. Here's the trophy right here. He has double health on New Game Plus. On to the next boss. Finally, I made my way to the final DLC boss, the Orphan of Kaz. Yeah, this was the hardest boss I've ever fought. The Chalice Dungeons were just tedious. This is the real deal. I fought this boss for days. I watched every tutorial on YouTube, studied his every moveset. I didn't take my eyes off him. I watched bro sleep at night. I adopted him, he's not an orphan anymore. Watched him go to school and graduate. Anything to get the upper hand. I eventually settled on parries, because my Chikage was of no use. I stabbed myself with attic needles and loaded up on bullets. Then, this happened. I won. I can't believe I actually defeated this boss. I went over to his mama and collected the final DLC weapon, but this challenge wasn't over. I had one last trophy, so I hopped on my first build again, and this time I felt bad for Gehrman, so I let him win. With that done, the challenge was complete. I went the extra mile and not only 100%ed the main game, but the DLC too. It was tough. I lost a couple nights of sleep, some brain cells, and possibly my sanity, but I did it. I got my first ever platinum trophy, and I'm happy. It was Bloodborne. Thank you everybody for watching the video. I have some more videos in the way, and also some stuff already on the channel, some reviews and stuff, so you can check that out if you want to. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.